Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new real-life car review. In this episode I'm driving the new Mitsubishi ASX. And no need to point out the obvious, this indeed is a rebadged Renault Captur. But it doesn't mean it's a bad car. The Renault logo only has one diamond, Mitsubishi logo has 3 diamonds. Renault has 3 years of warranty, Mitsubishi offers 5 years of warranty. So let's find out how good this car is. In 2020, Mitsubishi announced that the brand would leave the European market. Declining sales and the immense cost to meet the strict European guidelines were the reason. At that time, only the super compact Space Star, the ASX and Eclipse Cross were on sale. The L200 pickup and the Outlander were already phased out. However, in spring 2021, Mitsubishi reversed that decision and announced that it would introduce new models which would be built by alliance partner Renault. Since Mitsubishi has a strong SUV heritage, a small SUV is the first new Mitsubishi to be launched, a rebadged version of the immensely popular Renault Captur. So the interior space of the ASX is nice. Of course it's exactly the same as its sister model, but it's not a bad place to be. I can tell this is not a Japanese car because the design of the digital instrument cluster is different than what I'm used to see from Japanese and Korean brands. For instance, the fuel gates and the state of charge indicators are very fine. It's a bit over-designed in my opinion, and I'm not sure if the PHEV model comes with a normal gauge cluster on the lower trim levels. This is the top of the range trim level, the in-style, and this goes for 43,990, so say 44,000 euros on sale. There is an infotainment screen, and that's in portrait mode. I like the landscape mode 90 degrees tilted better, even better. I like smaller widescreens, but this works fairly good. You have a lot of options in here, and on this upper trim level, the in-style, you get a Bose audio system, and that's a very nice thing to have. There is an automatic climate control. It's fully automatic, but it's not dual zone, and as with its, let's say, sister model, the Juke, it comes with a normal gear shift lever with a B for extra breakdown regen braking. As in the Juke, there is not an indicator on here. You have to look in the instrument panel what gear you have selected, and that is really fine print. I really wish that was much clearer, but that's one of the things that tell you that is not a Japanese car. The graphic user interface design of Korean and Japanese brands is much clearer. Seats, black leather, they are heated with 2 positions, that's nice, and I also have a heated steering wheel, but that button for the heated steering wheel is tucked away here next to my left knee. And overall the materials that are used, they are on top, they use soft touch materials, they feel some sort of rubber. Nice leather wrapped steering wheel, it's nice and on the thicker side, but over here on the center console and the lower parts of the car they use a harder sort of plastic, but that's what I would expect from Mitsubishi, being no nonsense. It's rattle free, there are no cracks or rattles and squeaking noises, and it's easy to clean, so that's really nice. Alrighty, let's check the space for the rear passengers. Notice the door swings fairly wide open, almost 90 degrees. Good ingress. There is this panoramic sunroof, so the roof on the inside comes down a little bit, but seating position is good, and there's a small, I would say, bucket you sit in. It's nice. Let's pull up the headrest. This trim level has 2 USB charger outlets, and there's also a round 12-volt socket in here, and there's a vent opening for the rear passengers, but there is no armrest. There are reading lights. Let's test the view. View towards the outside is good, especially since this small quarter window is in here. Not bad at all. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the technology. Basically it's the same driveline as I recently had in the Nissan Juke Hybrid. The only difference is that the electric motor in the transmission has more power. This is a 49 kilowatt hour unit, whereas the regular hybrid that's also available in the ASX has a 36 kilowatt engine. The battery in the hybrid is a 1.2 kilowatt hours, 255 volts, and in this car, the plug-in hybrid, the battery is 10.5 kilowatt hours and has an electric system of, let me pick, 360 volts. While I'm having my booklet over here, there are several engine options. There is a 1 liter turbo with 91 horsepower. It starts at 29,290 euros. Then there is the 1.3 mild hybrid, which is available with a manual and an automatic transmission. And if you opt for the manual transmission, you get 140 horsepower. When you opt for the automatic transmission, you get 158 horsepower. The 1.6 hybrid is exactly the same as the Nissan Juke with 143 horsepower, and this 1.6 plug-in hybrid has 160 horsepower. Top speed of this car is limited to 170 kilometers an hour, but it's almost a fair bit heavier than the base model. The base model weighs in at 1189 kilos, where this, as tested, is 1531 kilos. The ASX has a nice boot space with a double trunk floor. Underneath here is a small storage compartment. As you can see, there are electronics, and there's a bump over here for the battery that's underneath the trunk floor. And the car comes with an wall outlet charger with which you can charge the car when it's completely empty in 4.5 hours. When you're using the regular American's outlet on a charging pole, it will fully charge in 3 hours. It's extremely windy today, so let's go out for a drive, give you my impressions. That kind of noise is not a noise that a Japanese car would ever make. Anyway, we're ready to set off to drive. You can feel a small shock when it has to release the electronic handbrake. It's always the case, it doesn't come to a smooth movement from a standstill, at least when you use the handbrake. Well, this part of the video could basically be the same as with the Juke hybrid. The drivetrain is basically the same. There are only two key differences. The electric system has a higher voltage, but this car can drive fully electric to 135 kilometers, and that's something that the regular hybrid version of the Juke and the same drivetrain is available in this ASX. Those only go to 55 kilometers an hour. Another difference is that this plug-in hybrid has a multi-link rear suspension, and you can tell it, but the suspension is also set up for a more comfortable ride. It's not aimed at driving dynamics, although it does it very well. The electronic power assist steering feels a bit numb, and overall you can tell this is in its base is a French car aimed at driver comfort. But I have had a bit of bad luck with charging the car, and that's my extension cord has a built-in fuse, and it always trips when I start charging this car. It charges for 5 minutes, then it trips, so I haven't been able to charge the car at home. And now you would say that it really has an effect on the fuel consumption and the energy consumption, but that's not true. I've been driving this car for almost a week now, and I haven't been able to charge it, like I said. But when you go in the MySense drive mode, you can select if you want to save the battery charge, and the gasoline engine will try to charge the engine as much as possible. You get a lot of regenerative braking. But when you have a smooth and calm driving style and you look far ahead, the car is capable of charging the battery to 75% within a couple of minutes. After 20 minutes of driving, I had over 50% of charge. So that regeneration does the car really well. Now at this moment, when I look at the energy consumption, my average fuel consumption is 4.6 liters at this moment. I have seen 4.3, that was my overall until I started filming, so the car has had a bit of idle time. And the energy consumption is 10 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is also very good. So this car is very efficient with its combustion engine, but also with the electric motor. That kind of surprises me. This car costs a lot of extra, especially when you compare it with the base model, which has good fuel consumption on itself. Now, when I change the drive mode to sport, the instrument cluster changes. I'm sure you can't see that on camera, but then also you get a fuel gauge and the state of charge indicator, which are a bit easier to read. And you can also choose this instrument panel layout in your other drive modes. Good to know. Now I'm driving the Hyundai Ioniq 5 at the same time. I have two test cars at this moment, and the Ioniq 5 has, I would say, superb, almost Lexus-like seats. So when you hop from the Ioniq 5 into this, you can immediately tell this is a much cheaper car. But all in all, on longer drives, these seats offer enough support. I only wish that they could tilt the seat up on the front, so you had more support on your upper legs during the drive. Now my legs aren't supported here at the back of my knees. That's something I miss a little bit. When I slow down, oftentimes the regen braking comes in a bit harder, and then it starts to fluctuate. So when you're slowing down to a standstill or slowing down at lower driving speeds, the car is a bit shocking and fluctuating. And I find myself constantly moving my foot on the brake pedal just slight bits, and you can feel the brake pedal push back. That's the brake force actuator in the brake pedal. That's emulating the braking force you would normally have with hydraulic brakes. And of course this is brake by wire. But in the Nissan Juke that was flawless, and in this car you can feel it vibrate a little bit, and that needs improvement in my opinion. A nice thing that I haven't seen in Japanese cars and Korean cars is that when you don't use the adaptive cruise control, I can switch it on. Cruise control on, then switch on the lane assist. When I cancel the lane assist, so when it's not using the adaptive cruise control, it shows the distance between the car in front of me and the ASX in seconds, so you have an indication of a safe following distance. I've never seen that in another car, and I think that's a very nice touch. The upper trim levels of the Mitsubishi ASX come with adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, lane centering and all the modern driving aids you might expect. I've tested them during highway driving and they work very well. Smooth, and they are never annoying. I've seen worse systems. Now let's try e-save mode. In e-save mode, the car tries to charge the battery as much as possible by regenerative braking, and it doesn't use the battery for driving the car. It does at this moment. We're driving at very low speeds. So let's head to the middle of nowhere to finish up this driving segment, and let's see how far we can charge this battery. So once again we reached the middle of nowhere. It's the end of our test drive. Let's hop inside and I'll give you my final thoughts on the Mitsubishi ASX PHEV. So what are my thoughts after driving the Mitsubishi ASX PHEV? Well, first and foremost, I think it's good that Mitsubishi decided to stay on the Western European market. It would be a shame if another Japanese manufacturer like Daihatsu would disappear from our market. They had to develop a successor for the popular ASX in very short notice, and I can see why they choose to pick a car from the Renault Mitsubishi Nissan alliance. Its sister model, the Renault Captur, is an immensely popular car over here. You see them by the dozen, and these cars aren't known for their unreliability, so that leads me to believe that you buy a good and reliable car when you opt for a new Mitsubishi ASX, no matter which engine option you choose. Now, I've recently tested the Nissan Juke Hybrid, which was a very good car. I'll leave the link up in here. That drivetrain, the hybrid drivetrain, really surprised me. It was either very sporty, in normal drive it was a good all-rounder, and in eco mode, fuel economy was great. This is an upgraded version of the drivetrain with a larger battery pack and a more powerful electric motor. and it shows. But the suspension setup of the ASX is also different. It's more of an all-round comfort cruiser. It's on the expensive side of things when you pick the PHEV, but you also get great fuel economy. My average fuel consumption is 4.5 liters per 100 kilometer, and the electricity consumption is down to 9.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So that's very good. Well, that's it for this real-life car review. I hope you liked following me along. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. Give me a like and maybe leave a comment if you have any remarks or questions. For now, I would like to thank you for watching and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye!